On this week's episode of the Superhero Show, we find out if G.I. Robot can be... On this week's episode of the Superhero Show, we find out if G.I. Robot can be fulfilled killing Nazis, if the Weasel is a monster or a misunderstood misfit, and if Amanda Waller will make the morally gray choice with very little information because that's just what she does. All of that and more in an all-new episode of the Superhero Show.
What's up, nerds? Welcome to the Superhero Show, a podcast where friends gather around to talk about their favorite comic book-based TV shows that came out this week. My name is Cassie, and I will be your host for this episode. And joining me as my friend this week, let me see if I have this right. Is it Mike Gravano?
Cassie?
Mike.
Cassie Davis?
As I live and breathe.
As I live and breathe. Is that you?
It is me. Is this the real you, or is this a spy again?
I can't confirm nor deny whether it is a spy or a chat GBT generated. There's been, unfortunately for me, a million hours of my voice on the internet. So
yeah, it was real easy to get you on this as a fake version.
People won't even be able to tell.
Basically, Philly batteries.
Philly battery, and 'tis the season of Philly and batteries.
May we never forget.
Watch out, Santa.
You were just back in your hometown, is that correct?
I was back in I was spending a week in a little neighborhood called Manayunk. And I normally wouldn't give the assassination coordinates of where I stayed, but how can you not say Manayunk right off the Schuylkill River?
Wow.
Man, does Philadelphia have fun words.
That all sounds so made up. It's not a real place. I just wanted to check in. How are they celebrating this season? Are the batteries just loose and ready to grab? Like, how's it looking over there?
Unfortunately, with climate change, it is a battery light year.
Damn it.
And so it's just kind of, pounds of batteries drop in the middle of the night, and then they get washed away halfway through the day, but it's still very cold and acidic.
The Earth is taking so much from us right now.
But don't worry. We will find something to huck at Santa.
Good. Good. That's all I need. I just need Philly to be staying true to them.
Look, if you're a jolly old man giving out presents or a delightful robot trying to prove that humanity is good, Philadelphia going to beat you up.
Don't come to Philadelphia. It's good to have you back. There's been, I don't know if you've been keeping up on our Reddit and everything, but the internet specifically, just the internet, really thought that there was some beef between us because it's been possibly like a year since we've recorded together.
Yeah, you and I specifically have not been on a superhero show in a year, and we're both very good at keeping track of time.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's my number one skill. Well, no, math, and then keeping track of time.
I'd say they're related.
Oh, thank you. That is so kind of you.
Yeah, that was a compliment. Should we air it out right now, the beef? Should we?
I think, again, and it's the internet that would need that and not me specifically. I think we need to air it out.
Quote unquote, the internet.
The big internet.
That subreddit is always curious about, anytime they're like, is Caitlin dead? She hasn't been on for a while. No, she's just entering the next stage of life, which is something called death. But yeah, so I mean, you give me your version of what you think the beef might be.
So, I mean, you sent a text message that was like, I would love to do an episode with my friends, ... When is Cassie taking a break? And I was like, okay, yeah, for sure. And then I was like, okay, so I'll take a break. We kind of just like had a divorce dad schedule. It was like, my break is this week, your break is this week. And then we got in that weird thing of like, oh, I'm quote unquote traveling. And it was just like... Nobody travels. I don't go anywhere. I sit in this room all day.
And it has gotten to the point that Ryan and Caitlin and our new child, Nate, have basically locked us in the studio and said, we're sick of the is it your holiday? Is it my holiday? You guys have to hash this out. It's like, oh, you know what? Well, I'm angry because you're not including my partner who is part of the podcast scheduling, even though they have nothing to do with it. We could just tell our partners when we're going to schedule podcasts, but now we're like, no. They have to know too. Isn't it fair to them? Treat them as an equal. Now, honestly, you know what? And I know that was me. I was the one who was making a stink, but they're not equal. They're not on the show.
I'm glad you finally come to that conclusion. I'm glad you spent some time and you've reflected on that.
I have. This is mostly what my therapy has
been about.
And anytime I'm quote unquote traveling, I'm going to Sedona, Arizona, because that's where the energies are, and flying. For some reason, first class, my therapist out as well. I'm in coach. I fly him
so well.
first class, and I'm in a tent. He's in the Four Seasons Sedona, and we're just hashing it out. And so I've got to the point that I can admit that, you know what, it doesn't matter. My partner doesn't need to know about when things happen. I mean, separately, she says that's different. I do need to let her know when things are happening.
Yeah, for sure.
But specifically, who's on what episode of the Superhero Show?
She doesn't. She
doesn't need to know.
I'm so... You know what? All the money you spent on this therapy, totally worth it. I'm so glad we've gotten here.
Tut. Because I'm saying that is my part of it. But I'm trying to get better at confrontation and less passive-aggressive via text. And so passive-aggressive on audio.
Perfect.
And say, I think every time I have a sandwich or a notebook or a drink in my hand, it's not cool for you to slap it out of the hand and say, eat it. Even when it's a notebook.
Mikey, it's so funny, though. Have you considered how funny it is to do that every time?
I understand in theory, but I haven't had a bite to eat or sip a drink or written a note in the studio in so long.
It's not a place for that. I'm sorry. Is studio eating time? Absolutely not, Mike.
I start shaking when I come in.
Yeah.
And it's out of fear and the lowest of blood sugar.
And that's what I would like to call a healthy work environment.
No, look, I'll pay for it. I need you and my therapist to go to Sedona and then hash this out. Because, like, why you don't treat Caitlin and Ryan like that? If you did it if you were an equal opportunity hand slammer, I don't think it would affect me as much.
Well, you see, Caitlin and Ryan have both established this thing where, like, they'll knock things out of my hand. Like, I'll knock something out of your hand, and then I'll just start eating away, and you let me do it. So it's kind of on you if you think about it.
So do I complete the circle and knock stuff out of their hands?
Yes, young Padawan, you get it now.
They have such fragile bones.
You gotta make sure you hit the item, because if you hit their hand, my God, it's over for them. They're delicate, fragile hands.
It'll like a tremor. It'll start with just the pinky and then work their way
slowly
up. What's the arm femur called?
The tibula, the fibula.
The tibula fibula. It'll work their way up to the shoulder bone.
And
that song, the neck bone's connected to the butt bone, really should have used the real bones so we didn't sound like fucking idiots.
It's not helpful. It does nothing for us. I can see that my like head is connected to my shoulder, connected to like I can see that far.
How you described it is exactly how I used to draw. No head, shoulder. It's just right there. Clink to the side.
I love a no neck willy, as Tyra would say.
A no neck willy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
When you take a photo and you're kind of hiding your neck, no good. No good for the photos. That's a no neck willy if I've ever seen one.
Because what the no neck willy is the same thing as a fat guy with a t-shirt in a pool. It is all you're doing is highlighting.
Yeah. And that's what Tyra always said. She said these are on equal levels. Fat guy with a t-shirt in a pool and no neck willy.
I'm not fat shaming.
No.
I'm
Mike, who's gone to Sedona.
Tyra is.
And done the work would never do that.
I said in this. Also, I'm not fat shaming. I'm just saying, take that shirt off. You obviously have a problem, fat guy. Wait, now it really okay. I heard my tone. I heard my tone.
Before you get in more trouble, Mike, let's go back to the premise of this, where we talk about comic book based TV shows.
That's right.
That's what we're here for. And this week, we're going to be talking about Creature Commandos. And I'm very excited to talk to you about it, so I can learn things about it. So let's go do that right now. In the third and fourth episodes of Creature Commandos, we get the backstories of G.I. Robot and the Weasel, which also happens to be my favorite morning zoo duo. G.I. Robot was built in the 30s and bonded with his platoon, the Easy Company. Then he bounced around between the inventors and collectors for decades, before being found by a neo-Nazi. Things do not go well for the neo-Nazis. Weasel, as we all guessed, did not kill any kids, but instead was the E.T.-type weirdo creature, found until a scared janitor caused the fire and the Weasel was blamed. Meanwhile, in the present, the Commandos capture Cersei, who says they've doomed the world. She shows Amanda Waller a vision of the future where the Justice League are dead and the Princess and Gorilla Grodd rule the world. Taste buds, I ask you this. What's bringing you back more right now? The backstories or the present day?
Ooh. Can I say it depends on the backstory?
Yeah, because that's right.
I think these are two good ones for this question because both the G.I. Robot and the Weasel's backstories are basically exactly when I was told by James Gunn himself. He called me on the phone. Yo, Mike, this is how I'm going to work the show.
Uh-huh.
We're going to get a little bit of backstory of each character one by one. This is the best way to do
Now,
this kind of...
was he just checking in with you to see if you liked it? Or, like, what is this process where he's calling you up? Are you greenlighting it, or is it just so you're in the know?
If I pick up, he screams obscenities at me. So I have to let it go to voicemail.
Yes.
No, it is not a two-way conversation.
Gotcha. So
And I'm like, Jimmy G, you do not need to do this. And he's like, no, this is how my process. When I heard that, I closed my eyes and this is exactly how I imagined basically both of these backstories going.
Yeah.
Of course, the robot is going to bond with his fighting people. And then it gets very sad and he's like left to collect dust. And then he meets different people who treat him differently.
Mm-hmm.
And then the guy who treats him the nicest, who's a World War II collector, turns out he's for the wrong reasons. He's a World War II collector.
He likes the memorabilia for a different reason.
Cassie, when you meet somebody and they're really into World War II,
Yeah.
how high does one of your eyebrows raise?
So
Do you get a little worried?
So high, because it always means exactly what it meant in this episode. It's never for a fun reason. It's always like, oh, so you just thought it was a cool time and period, and maybe we should like experiment with it again, huh?
Yeah, even the guys who are like super pro the allies.
Yeah,
you're like,
I don't think so. It's disturbing. It's such a weird piece of like time and history to really latch on to if you're not a freaking weirdo.
Let's latch onto it and learn nothing. That's the best way to do it. But that I'll say all that, and I loved it. I think Alan, we here celebrate two dicks. We love everything he does, and he puts so much pathos into this robot character. The Weasel, basically from the Suicide Squad movie where he was introduced, and you're like, he killed 27 kids. But knowing who James Gunn is, be like, oh, that little freak who looks like he'd eat 27 kids. I bet he didn't.
I bet he freaking loves those kids.
And this version, his episode, beat by beat, is exactly what I imagined. Hit me, and this is James Gunn as Jimmy G, calls me up. He's like, this is my favorite episode. And I've been dealing with this through... I've been a James Gunn fan for like 25 years, and Creature Commandos is me dealing with what that means.
Yeah.
And at this point, I get issues. Oh, you're weird little freaks who look like they need kids. Oh, he's really soulful. Like, that one did so little for me.
Oh, really?
And I know the internet is like, oh, I cried. Because I guess the minute I heard the character and that we're going to get backstory, I was like, oh, is this what was going to happen? And then it did.
See, I think this is your cynical heart coming through because this one, I think it was just the shock of seeing like kids actually get blown up, even though animated. And then like to see the like it was brutal. It was brutal. It was a hard watch, and I didn't know that this would happen. I came into this open heart, open mind, blank mind more specifically. Yeah. Not knowing a thing, and was not ready to get rocked like this. So it was a rough one. Was it affecting? Did you get? I mean, the kids are all dying in different ways: fire, smoke, and ventilation. Probably some cop bullets. Oh, absolutely, some cop bullets,
which are different than normal people bullets.
Yeah. They specifically target out the innocents. So.
And then the Weasel is crying. The Weasel. Did you get a little dusty?
It was so sad, Mike. I was like, let me start my morning with this little show. It seems like it's going to be a weird little fun time. Put on the first one, hyped. I was like, hell yeah, let's kill Nazis all day. I was like, this is exactly how I needed to start my day. I was rejuvenated. I was refreshed. And then I went to the Weasel and immediately got wrecked. It was just to focus in so much to see how dead set on the cops were, like, kill this fucked up little weasel versus firing at a child. Like, It was just so hard to handle. And then him just sleeping. See, he's fucked up until he's sleeping, and then he's a cute little guy. And that's when you see his little trauma, and he's like wiggling his foot like your little puppy. Fucking rough. It was a rough go.
Which of the 2 episodes, which did you prefer? Did you, because you don't love feeling feelings.
I don't love it. It's not my favorite pastime. Again, math is probably my favorite pastime. Huge fan of it. Yeah, the first one was on a lighter note, and just more like, let's go. Because even the robot's sad times where he just like, it was a bummer. He went to jail for killing a bunch of Nazis, which instead should be celebrated. Absolutely.
Sure.
But again, he's a robot. So like his time served, like it was just kind of a bummer, but he could also seem like just shut down like fully.
Right.
And not really feel anything. And then just wait till the next Nazi appeared to kill. And I was like, it's pretty rad. It's a pretty rad way to go. And I thought he was invincible until the end.
Yeah.
So it was devastating to like really find this guy and be a hero, especially right now, and get so hyped for him to then be taken so quickly from me. This was going to be my little friend. And
I do like that pairing. So many shows would have you get to know the robot and then he dies in that episode. Mm-hmm. And that always makes me roll my eyes. So to just wait even one episode, and so the end of the next episode, that hit harder than it could have if it was like, get to know him. No, he blew up.
No, nope, you can't. Here he is. And I don't know, how much do you know about these creatures who are commandos?
So little.
Fuck yeah, dude. We're on equal ground. This feels so good.
for once. Yeah, here's the kind of geek I am. I can be like, well, Belle Reve prison where they're all staying, and I could give you a little bit of tidbits about Belle Reve, but like this is a group, and this is what James Gunn, because hey Mike,
you're called.
Hang up right now. But he will be like, leave me a voicemail and tell me list all the characters you do know. Mm-hmm. And I do, and that's for Marvel. That's how we got Guardians of the Galaxy, because I did not fucking know those guys at all.
Okay, perfect.
And so he is very good at being like, who's a bunch of fucking little perverted freaks? That's what we're gonna blow up next.
Let's find them. Because I wasn't sure. It seems like at first when Nina, I think it is, picks up his head and he's still talking to her, I was like, hell yeah, he's a robot. As long as that head's intact, we're good to go. He can still live on. But then the lights did go out of his eyes, and it seems like this robot is dead.
And so I can pull some note. In his episode, in one of his flashbacks, we meet Will Magnus, briefly, who's kind of a cock, who's like not treating G.I. Robot as a sentient being, more of as a tool. Mm-hmm. And Magnus goes on to invent I want to just say they're called the Metal Men, but like a team of robots who all have personalities.
Classic. Love to call them the Metal Men.
Genius. That might not be. Most of my Will Magnus knowledge comes from Amalgam Comics when DC and Marvel smashed up, and so there's like Magneto, and it was fucking crazy. It was a crazy time in the 90s, Cassie.
It sounds like it.
So he goes on to invent a team of robots, and so. Why introduce him? I guess world building, history building, but maybe bringing an old him in to fix G.I. Robot.
Yeah, that's my hope, because again, they did make me fall in love with this little guy again, and it's Alan Tudyk, so of course.
But we are in a cartoon world, and it's a new sandbox, so I could also see James Gunn be like, fall in love, he's dead.
It's just so early on. We're on episodes 3 and 4, and this dude's in the intro, like the opening credits.
Yes.
Like he has a whole thing.
And I just realized, my bad, totally wrong. Alan Tudyk plays Dr. Phosphorus, This is Sean Gunn, James's little bro.
Oh my God,
plays
Nepo.
Weasel and G.I. Robot.
I love nepotism when it works out.
Oh, the two of them love that.
They do it so well, though.
This is Kraglin from Guardians of the Galaxy, who inherits the Mohawk.
Yeah, dude, yeah. This makes sense.
For you Gilmore Girls guys and gals out there, he was Kurt on Gilmore Girls.
Yes, Kurt. Absolutely, never forget Kurt.
Who you can see now in the Walmart holiday commercial.
And I watch it every time it comes on. Hulu gives me the choice of which ad I want to watch. I'm choosing Kurt every time.
That one again.
That one more time, please.
How are you enjoying the present day story? Because we get these interludes of learning more about them, but there's the main story. What's that doing for you?
For me, because we're just touching base on them, basically. Like, I'm not as invested in it. Because it's mainly like, so we get more of it in the second episode with the Weasel, and it's basically like There's this princess, and that's like a part of the team or became like homies with them in some way.
Their first mission in like the first 2 episodes was to go save her. They learned Circe was trying to kill her with her incel army, and they saved her, and Rick Flag banged her out.
Yeah. So he's like in love with her. So we're getting that. I mean, there is this good tension. Like it's very comic booky to see, like, have her see that like she's gonna bring like the end of the world and mass destruction, basically. So I guess it is interesting. Between the two, I think I was still more invested in the past, but I think it's just because of where I got thrown into it. Like, it is still an interesting story point that we're in, so I'm not mad at where we were. It just like I kept between the two, I'd be like, oh, let's check in with the past more.
I agree. The past is doing it for me more, even when I have a hard heart. But I guess right now I am excited because Frankenstein has been like haunting the background, but not really involved in the present. And him and I was gonna say Frank Castle. That's not his name. What's the fucking
Carrillo? Something.
Rick Flag.
Yeah.
Frankenstein and Rick Flag is like a comedic duo. Was pretty good. Frankenstein called him a Delphi piece of shit.
Yeah. But like while crying a little bit.
While crying.
And like being so proud of him for being a DILF at the same time. Yeah. It was a good combo.
And just like the increased, and like you said, the tension of, so like now we have Waller, who's going to do what Waller does, which is always pull the trigger without asking any questions. The minute somebody whispers, somebody else might be a threat.
Yeah.
Does not matter who. That's just how she is. Does she stand in for a big modern colonizing nation? I don't know.
Who knows?
And then we have the new old Creature Commandos led by the Bride, who also, is violence first. Who cares? Don't ask questions. And and then Flag and Frank are all. That's always going to be fun. You have like 3, and that's not even the villain. Like in theory, someone else is the villain. And you have 3 quote unquote good sides running around. I'm excited to see what happens in the next couple episodes.
And it is how it always is for us. It's kind of the ensemble. So like at the end of that episode when we had the Bride, Nina, Weasel, like in the plane getting taken somewhere to go take out the princess, I guess. Yeah. Like there's just a quick bonding moment between them of like her being like, why did you like stand up for me in jail and stuff? Like it's kind of just how they all work together. Like that little bit, I was like, okay, I'm into these characters and I'm here for this. Like they are working well. And it does seem like a good cast. Like it's a strong cast for sure.
And I think the rhythm of none of us want to be here, and then who's speeding up to find we are a team, we do care, and it will level. And 4 episodes in, it could be pretty quick, but it's so much I'll take quick better than the season finale. They're like, fine, we all want to be a team.
Yeah.
The Creature Commandos. Yeah. Fuck that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely, again, I came in with no expectations, but I'm pleased with how it's going. Like, I'm not mad at this show.
I'll say, having gone quote unquote traveling, my long therapy, I'm watching this show even when I'm not on, versus
huge.
The Penguin I watched 2 of and stopped.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's saying a lot. That's huge.
It is saying a lot. Man, fuck the Penguin.
Fuck the Penguin, dude. It's also like they're like 20-minute episodes, and that's going to be huge for anything.
Yeah.
That's a big come up.
And every time they end, I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been good. Let's go to our moments of the week. What do you got for it?
And there's certain things that I'm like, all right, Jimmy G, I see what you're doing. And there's other stuff I can't not let him right up in my butt. And not only do we get Gogo Bordello playing at some point in every episode, who I talked about last time I was on the show, and do you know this band at all?
No, but I'm going to I see the joy and I hear it in your voice. So
they're a gypsy punk band. They call themselves that, so I can say that. They're fucking awesome. There's a documentary out right now touring theaters, unfortunately. I can't get it online yet. But so I've gotten used to that. That's fucking great. Sweet. Love it. It's so much fun. Bumpy music. Another one of my favorite bands, and these are not big bands, but during G.I. Robot's big, like, fine, I'm unloading and going to kill all the neo-Nazis, Coin Operated Boy by the Dresden Dolls, which is like a cabaret punk band. And so, sonically, James Gunn is doing everything he can to make me love this show, and that part's working.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I forgot to mention that song hitting there was such a banger. Honestly, really added to it. It was such a rad choice. I was like, this is so good. Like, better than anything. Like, people love to talk about Umbrella Academy putting in a fun song. Like, that shit hit. Like, that one was so good. That's a perfect pairing right there.
I don't want to like dress down everything Jimmy G can do. I think he's talented in so many ways, but he undersung, even though people still do talk about it. I don't think anybody else is working who does the needle drops as well as him.
Yeah.
Without, it's so rare that he makes me roll my eyes because his choice of song and win. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, it's so good. My moment of the week, it's hard to not have it be just G.I. Robot unleashing on Nazis. Like, when we got the reveal of his friend, like, taking him to a meeting.
Yeah.
And like, the one dude's, like, he introduced the robot as, like, I think he could help, like, the fight or something like that. And that's when you're like, hold on now.
Yeah.
And then the curtains just revealed, like, a giant swastika. And then he's like, the way it just closes up to his face, and he's like, oh yeah. And you're like, yeah, let's go.
So happy.
He just finds purpose again. Like, it feels so good. And to see the different ways, like, they make him go all out. He gets so many different guns. You really see guts go all over the place. It's so satisfying.
And the way they have him, a blank robot face, but the way he stares at people who he thinks might be Nazis, like the level of like simmering rage that they somehow put in that black, it's great animation.
There's a scene, I forgot to talk about it. They put him like early on, like closer to the 30s, I'll say. I don't know exactly when, but they put him on a talk show.
Yes.
And he comes out to the crowd and like immediately, like, this is the scariest like it's ever been. Like, Late Night with the Devil vibes, like, just like how many Nazis are in the crowd? And I was like, fuck, there's some, dude. Like,
yeah.
I thought he was really gonna unleash them there.
America in the 30s and 40s was, we like to forget it now, super into Nazis. There's big contingents that were super into Nazis.
Still in it. So I'm sure there was some in the crowd. I definitely thought it was gonna be like this huge moment. So that was like, I was like, uh-oh. So just that feeling in that moment. This show is good. The more we talk about it, this is a good one.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty dang good. You should be checking it out. It's Thursdays on Max. That is all the time. That's all the shows we have this week to talk about. But I do want you to talk about a website, Mike, because I know you've been working on some on your spare time. And I would like you to pitch it to the people.
Look, if you know me,
and we all do.
And you all do. Same old G. I'm not in for the woo-woo, but you spend 2 months unwillingly in Sedona, Arizona, and those energies are going to... So that's why crystal.co is where you can go. Look, it's hard. It's hard to collect good, the right lattice, the right structure, the perfect...
terms.
Shine and shimmer and splendor of crystals. I know the terms.
No, you started so strong, and then
I was Wile E. Coyote. I looked down. It's hard to find. So what crystal.com is, you can't, you're like, I have a job interview tomorrow. I need the right, like, pump me up energies, but I don't have the 5 crystals to sit in the circle and go blah, blah, blah. So what crystal.co will do is do a digital version. That's almost better. Because you can say exactly, like, the opacity, the reflective nature.
So important.
I'm getting it back. Don't comment on it.
Let them work.
Yeah. Do you want turquoise? We got it, because it's digital. Do you want opal? We got it. Labradorite? You know it. So
that one
whatever
made up,
shape
trust you on it.
And structure, because it sounds like a dog with "ite" at the end of it.
Yeah.
Beaglemonger, we got it.
Dude, Beaglemonger's so strong.
Yeah,
you were able to get Beaglemonger?
Yeah, it's digital, Cassie. I got anything, but the energy works.
That's
my website will change your chakras and energy just as much as any physical crystal out in the world.
That's a bold claim, because I think a large part of it is kind of having them there with you, so like they kind of but work with your body, and I feel like the zeros and ones in a computer is really going to mess that up.
No, but Cassie, what's more with you than your phone?
True.
Your phone is always with you.
The truth.
And we're working on the mobile app.
Okay, no, I didn't know there was a mobile app involved. You have all my money. You weren't asking for any, but you now have my money. Now that I know that there's a mobile app. There
will be at some point.
So a
mobile app.
So we basically type in what we need, and you're gonna bring up 5 different crystals that are gonna help us out.
Right. We have templates, like put them in this order. Think about this when you kiss your phone.
Wow. And we're all kissing our phones. We're absolutely.
Well, now you will, because I think you kiss crystals.
Okay. You would know. You're the expert. So
We're it's in beta. We're not there yet, but that crystal that Goop sold, one of the Paltro's company that you put up your vag, you're someday soon you'll be able to do that with your phone.
I think some people might already be onto that technology.
Holy shit. Hey guys, email me.
Send all those to Mike directly. Mike needs that hot goss. This is a great idea, and I know the people who are going to help you build this website, because it sounds like it's going to need a lot of work. This is a high-tech website.
Yes.
So I'm going to send you to the professionals, the best in the biz. That's cybersprout.net. They got design experts that are well-versed in digital strategy and elegant design. You're going to need both of those things. They got easy-to-edit fields. If you want to get in there, you want to use some drag-and-drop tools, they got those. Cybersprout's going to handle your hosting, and you should visit cybersprout.net to get started. They're your partner for a digital world. Mike, we've done it. We've come to the end of the episode. I think we've healed ourselves with crystals and James Gunn.
We squashed the beef.
It's good to be back with you. And I just want to know, would you want to come back next week? You know
what? I would love to, but only if it's just you and me. I don't know. I feel good, but it feels fragile. I don't know if we're ready to let in the chaotic energy that Ryan and Caitlin would bring into this.
Yeah, we can't. We're not fully there yet. We need some more time. I'm in with you, and I think the show that we need to talk about to fully bring this home and fully heal us is absolutely Spider-Man. Spider-Man, the animated series. We're going to be talking about it next week, and it looks like Craven's going to be returning, so we got to get that. We're going to be talking about it. It's going to be a great episode. We have some other websites, Mike, and I would love for you to tell the people about them.
Oh, I'd love to. It feels like it's popfilter.co is where all the things we put out. That's there. You just go there. And then it's you get your decade-old articles, and you get all your up-to-date podcasts that we put out.
And those decade-old articles, you'd be like, I don't want to read those. They're still good. They're still bangers.
They hold up. They're evergreen. And also, there's a series on Battleworld called Battleworld. That if you're heard of it, Avengers Secret Wars coming out, it is going to be based on this comic book run. So if you want to know what the pop filter opinion of all the Battleworld comic books were, check out those articles specifically.
There's never been a more relevant article out there. I'm so glad we could bring it back. I don't think so. We have another show on the network that you should be listening to, Movie of the Year. What year are you guys currently on, Mike?
We are still in the middle of 1996.
God, what a good year.
Recent episodes or about to come out episodes include The Hunchback of Notre Dame,
Bang.
Just as pervy and weird as you remember it. Mission Impossible, more pervy and weird than you remember it.
Okay, good. So go check it out, Movie of the Year. You can remember how pervy and weird the movies were of the past. You should be following us on Instagram. We're at Your Pop Filter. We're also at popfilter.co on YouTube. We got an email. You should be sending us emails, any questions, any comments, any concerns, any hot tips you have for us in regards to skincare. Go ahead, send it over there. It's contact@popfilter.co.
Legit, always looking for new skincare tips.
Legit, would never turn it down. If you got it, go ahead and send us that email.
Do you have a tip for making me use the gua sha I bought forever ago and used once, and then it's under my counter for months? Please let me know.
Mike needs that motivation. Send it over there. That is it for this episode, though. For Mike, I'm me. For me, I am me. And for you, I am me. And for us, we are the world. Bye, everyone.